There's a theory going around that the European Organization for Nuclear Research has been conducting experiments that have caused the world to shift into an alternate dimension. In this dimension, Trump has become president, and we are in the midst of a pandemic. Alright, so when can I go back to my past dimension? Because I liked it way better there. Seriously, the world is crumbling in this one. Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I'm your host, Lindsay Ivan, and today I'm bringing you the top 10 people who may have disappeared into an alternate dimension. Starting off this countdown, we have the boyfriend. So this individual claims to have dated a guy that never even existed. That puts a whole new meaning into imaginary boyfriend. So this woman was hanging out, catching up with her old pals from high school when she brought up her ex named Jeremy. But none of the friends knew who she was talking about. She dated Jeremy for 2 years and he was her high school sweetheart. They all went on group dates together and hung out a lot. But her friends were insistent that they didn't know anyone named Jeremy. The girl got upset and grabbed her yearbook to show them, but when she went through the pictures, she couldn't find Jeremy at all. So maybe she somehow went into an alternate dimension, one where Jeremy doesn't exist. In our 9th spot, we have Nelson Mandela. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the Mandela effect, named after President Nelson Mandela. Well, it's said that many people remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s, when in reality, he died in December of 2013. Paranormal researcher Fiona Broom was one of the individuals to remember Mandela dying at an earlier date. She said, and I quote, "I thought I remembered it clearly, complete with news clips of his funeral, the mourning in South Africa, some rioting in cities, and the heartfelt speech by his widow." Other people remember learning about Nelson Mandela's death in school in the 90s. It is crazy. So Nelson Mandela might have been one of those people that traveled to a different dimension. In one dimension, he died in the 1980s, and in the other, he died in 2013. Then it's somewhat believed that somehow one of these realities ended up washing over into ours, which is why some people remember him dying in the 1980s, while others say he died in 2013. In our 8th spot, we have the road trip. Posted on Reddit by the user Musical Moses, he described the time that him and his friends were transported into an alternate dimension. So him and a couple of friends were returning home from a road trip. He just got off the phone with his parents and told them that they would be home in about 25 minutes. However, as they continued driving, they rounded a corner and the road ahead of them was completely empty. There were no cars ahead or no cars behind them. He then claims that everything went black for a moment. The dashboard lights and the headlights turned off. Even the music stopped playing. Then everything went back to normal. The CD restarted from the beginning and they now could see a car ahead of them, which wasn't there a second ago. Now, the guy just shook it off, thinking that he fell asleep and woke up later on. But the other passengers in the car all experienced the same thing, even the driver. The scariest thing of all, when they arrived home, the house looked a little different. There was now a tree on the front lawn that was never there before. Not only that, but the clock revealed that they arrived home an hour later, when they were only 25 minutes away. So they lost an hour of time and don't know what happened. So they believe that they somehow ended up in an alternate dimension. And apparently it only took an hour to get there. Making our way down the list at number 7, we have the black dog. Posted on Reddit by the user TShopko, he believes that his entire family is now living in an alternate dimension. So it started a couple years ago when he was going through old photos at his parents' house. That's when he discovered a picture that he took of his daughter sitting in a chair eating. But in the photo, there appears to be a black dog begging his dad for some food. Here's the thing. He doesn't know whose dog that is, and none of his family members know whose dog that is. Then they found another photo. It was of their cat laying on their bed next to the same black dog. What's weird is that their cat hated dogs. It would take her a long time to warm up to them, meaning this dog must have been around for a long time. But no one recognizes it or remembers it. So theory goes that their reality has somehow changed, or their entire family somehow went to another dimension, one where they owned a black dog. In our 6th spot, we have the death. So what I've learned from these stories so far is that you'll know when you're in an alternate dimension when things around you have changed slightly. Your parents might not have buttons for eyes like in Coraline, but you'll be able to tell that things are off. So in this next story, the narrator swears that she died and came back to life in another dimension. The girl was going through a lot and tried to take her own life. All she remembers is everything going black and then seeing red and blue flashing lights. But the next morning, she woke up fine, as if nothing happened. But to this day, she knows that something isn't right about the life that she's living. Something's off. She knows for a fact that she died that night. Now, she's living in another reality. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the cookies. This story was posted on Reddit by the user Dark It Soon. So a couple of weeks ago, her dad came to her house and brought her favorite cookies, which she ate in a couple days. No shame, I'd do that too. Then a couple days later, her mom brought over some more cookies and told her to try not to finish them in a couple days this time. But the cookies were some she had never seen or tried before. When she tried them, she didn't like them, which confused her mom. Her mom was insistent that they were the cookies that she always buys and loves. The girl was confused, so she called up her dad and he even confirmed it. He said that the cookies he brought her were the same kind. What the heck? So like now even cookies taste different in alternate dimensions? I don't even know. In our 4th spot we have McDonald's. Posted on Reddit by the user Ninja Nerd BGM, he shared the time that he got transported to another dimension while getting McDonald's. Some of these stories would make a great plot for a film. Maybe not this one though. So it was late at night and he decided to go out to get some McDonald's. So he took his dog with him and headed out. But on the way there, his dog got really scared and cowered under the seat. His tail was behind his legs and the hair was raised on his back. The man kept going, but when he arrived at McDonald's, he noticed that the building was very different. It was much bigger than before. Anyways, he pulled in and ordered. When he got to the window and tried to pay with his credit card, the cashier said that they don't accept cards. So he proceeded to pay with cash. Except they didn't give him back his change. Instead, they gave him a voucher with the amount they owed him on it. Pretty odd. While getting his meal, the cashier hands him the bag of food and just freezes for a second, holding the bag. Then all of a sudden the man feels a wave of electricity come over him, and just like before, his dog starts to cower under the seat. When the wave ends, he noticed that he is now in the McDonald's parking lot, not drive-thru. His food, $20, and voucher were all gone. But at least he was back at his normal McDonald's. Super weird, but at least we know that they have McDonald's in alternate dimensions. Moving on at number 3, we have the Coworker. Okay, so this next story really tripped me out. So a woman was headed to her job of 8 years, but when she arrived, her coworker was not there. In her place was a man. She asked him who he was and he started laughing and said, "Come on, Tracy, you know me." Tracy was creeped out, as anyone would be. But this dude was insistent that he had been working with Tracy for 4 years. Tracy went to the back staff room and sure enough, there were pictures of this dude at the company's holiday party. Scariest part? There was even a photo of him and Tracy smiling looking at the camera. But she had no recollection of him at all. She had been working there for years with a female coworker who just suddenly disappeared. So theory goes that Tracy ended up in an alternate dimension, meaning her coworker is probably wondering where Tracy went. She's probably just as confused as Tracy. In our 2nd spot, we have the Rearrangement. This story was posted on Reddit by the user Echo Green. About 3 years ago, he was over at his friend's house helping him renovate his kitchen. 2 weeks later, he went back to his friend's house, but noticed that the setup was rearranged. The sink was where the oven was, and the oven was close to the washing machine. Side note, who on earth has their oven right next to their washer? I don't know. Anyways, he then asked his friend why he rearranged his kitchen, and he said that he didn't. That it's been like that for the longest time. But that's not all. That night he went out walking his dog at a nearby park and noticed benches along the edge of a field that had never been there before. The thing is, these benches weren't new ones, they looked pretty old. He went on with his day and found more things had been moved out of place, like trees and streetlights. So this dude is convinced that he somehow ended up in a parallel dimension. I mean, what else can explain all these items switching positions? Like, appliances and benches, sure, but streetlights? Who's out there moving those? And in our number 1 spot, we have hide and seek. This next story revolves around 2 brothers playing an innocent game of hide and seek. One of the brothers, I'm gonna name him Timmy, who was 9 at the time, was hiding, while his older brother, I'm gonna name him John, was 12 at the time and he was it. So Timmy was hiding in a closet for 30 minutes before realizing that his brother probably stopped playing the game. He was annoyed and went to the living room to watch TV. Hours went by and John was nowhere to be found. He then decided to go outside and look for him, but there was still no sign of him. He went back into the house and there his brother was, sitting in his spot watching TV. John was mad and asked him where he went. John claims that he was looking for him but ended up giving up. He called for Timmy to come out of his hiding spot, but he didn't, so he gave up and watched TV. But he was adamant that he had been sitting there watching TV just like his brother. That's freaky, like they were both at the same spot at the same time, both watching TV, yet they couldn't even see each other. Yeah, one of those brothers went to an alternate dimension somehow. And that's all for today's video. Let's move on to our comment shoutout portion. I'll be shouting out comments from my video, Top 10 Scary Prisoners Left in Solitary Confinement, Part 3. Anna Beasley commented, Lindsay is so sweet. She's the only person I know who would apologize for mispronouncing a murderer's name. Yeah, well, I mispronounced a murderer's name in the last video and people were like, oh my god, and like freaked out in the comments. So now if I'm like ever unsure, I'm like, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. XL Gamer 54 commented, day 56 of asking for more FNAF themed content. Let's get this a shout out. Have we done videos on Five Nights at Freddy's? I don't know. Maybe in the future, I don't know. But I see your comment and here's your shout out. You're welcome. Tian Hoang commented, can you do a top 10 shout out comments? P.S. Come to Canada when all this mess is over. Come to Canada? Wow, I would love to go to Canada. Guys, I'm Canadian. I live in Canada. I don't know. I don't know. And that's all the comments I'm showing out for today's video. Make sure to comment something down below for a chance to be featured in my next comment shoutout. And as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to Most Amazing Top 10 for more amazing videos. I've been your host, Lindsay Ivan, and I'll see you when I see ya. So maybe she somehow went into an alternate dimension. Oh my god. So maybe she somehow went into an alternate dimension. Posted on Reddit by the user TShopCo, he believes that he and his entire family are now living in an he and his entire family? That night he went out walking his dog at a nearby park and noticed benches along the edge of a field that have never even been like appliances and benches, sure.